Quick Slants is presented by your local New England Honda dealers. Around here, we Honda.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? You feeling good? Patriots were desperate over the weekend. Every now and then you do get desperate. But they took care of business against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That means they are postseason bound. But their work is not done yet. We will talk about the Patriots and what they've conquered so far. And we will have Kyle Van Noy in. As this says right here, this, of course, is the game plan presented by Shaw's. They're perfecting the art of fresh over there. Can you call it a success? We'll get into that. Also, award season. I got to vote, and I'm going to tell you who I'm voting for. And we have a poll, and we have viewer comments, and we have the mega hot take, and we're going to have some fun. First things first, my slant. And ladies and gentlemen, I alluded to it already. Has the Patriots season been a success? Let's look at it this way. They were 7-9 last year. That was like maybe a 3-win roster. They've already improved this year by 3 wins, 10 wins already. They're going to the playoffs. They ascended to the #1 seed briefly in what I continue to say is a rebuilding year. Yeah, they face-planted against Indy. They got outplayed by the Bills in meeting number 2. They felt a little self-impressed. That caused them to lose their edge. But they have a quarterback. They rebuilt a roster that in some spots had fallen into grave disrepair. And even though people like Phil and I were saying they'd win 11 or 12 games, falling short of that, which they may do, that doesn't mean it's a failure. We expected high success. So not hitting the exact level of success that we were referring to, medium success I'm saying, that doesn't mean this is failure. Hey, maybe I'm soft. But I really think that the rest of the season feels like gravy. I mean, they've done everything they could do, Meg.
Woo!
Sorry, we're having some fun in 2022.
It's all gravy, baby.
You agree?
I agree. And here's why. On top of the record, however it may end up, and returning to the playoffs, we came into the season with at least 3 big questions. First one being, do you have a viable quarterback for the future? In Mac Jones? Yes, you do. Can Bill Belichick still operate as a general manager after having some questionable drafts over the last couple of years with enough money? Yes, he can.
Meg, I actually said that he should divest himself of all offensive decision-making. And I meant it. Why? Because he had a bad run. And I thought that he had to open up his mind. I guess that, well, he did open up his mind, but you're right. General managing, check mark. Go ahead.
Kraft opened up the wallet, and that helped a little bit. But we also had to question a little bit whether Bill Belichick could still coach with the best of them without Tom Brady under center. And I think all you had to do is, honestly, look at that first Bills game and say, yes, he can. So record aside, playoffs aside, the return to those things are great, but having the answers to those questions all be yes, in my book, is a success.
I agree. And I didn't doubt the coaching acumen, because to see what they did.
But some did. Some out there did.
No doubt. But there's a lot of people who eat paint chips as kids, and we can't really defend them. And I'm not going to make exceptions. You and I are high thinkers, okay? High-level people. However, one thing that this team has to do, that Bill Belichick needs to impress upon them, but that they have to accept the mantle of themselves, is to be urgent, to be cutthroat, to be like a pack of wild dogs when they have to be. We hadn't seen that when the chips were down. I don't know if necessarily the Jacksonville Jaguars game can be seen as a springboard for that. Do you think so?
I agree with you. I'm glad you brought up the sense of urgency, because I think this team plays with a sense of pride. They'll get down, but they always try to rally back, right? They always try to stay in the game. The sense of urgency is what we were missing in those back-to-back losses.
Concur.
I don't think you necessarily remedied that with the Jacksonville Jaguars win. And I said Jaguars right there, I believe.
Yeah, you fixed your wires problem.
But what else were you going to do? You went up against a crap team. You put out a poll today, Tom.
I did.
Time now for From the Stands, and your poll results are presented by your New England Ford dealers, built for America, built Ford.
All right, here it was. We're real simple. Have the 2021 Patriots had a successful season? Yeah, they're in the playoffs, man. 80%. Hey, could have been better, Haas. Only 7% of you are saying that. Why don't you circle back in 2 weeks? 13% of you are in the wait-and-see mode. You got any comments?
Yeah, overwhelming majority there. Chris says, very curious
What's
what
his last
someone's
name?
Expectations.
What's the last?
There, that's Cody Matus.
Yeah, good job.
Expectations were, if they said no, clinching a playoff spot in Week 17 and having a chance, however slim, to win the division in Week 18 was pretty good to me. Feel similar to the Sox this season. Compete for the playoffs. Good. Win around. Even better.
Fair.
Rossi Darling says, don't see how it can't be. Playoff berth with a rookie QB and a ton of new starting players after a disastrous season just 2 years removed from 20 years of the best quarterback ever. Mid-season 7-game win streak and first seed last-second loss.
A lot of work. You're doing some heavy lifting on these comments.
People have
Can we
to
find
say.
something that doesn't have a paragraph?
Dorito Purist says 10 wins and playoffs were the expectation when people believed Cam Newton was going to win the starting QB spot. So meh. A lot of investment, not like all these other teams are getting worse next year. Pats might be in AFC mediocrity for a while. That's a good point. Because
no, it's not.
It is. This stuff isn't happening in a vacuum, Tom.
10 wins is not mediocrity. 8-8 is mediocrity.
When you're in New England, it's considered mediocrity. That's the standard here.
They got to relax the standard and understand that you should reconfigure your expectation level. Yes, you have the best coach in the NFL and the best offensive coordinator, but you got a rookie quarterback. I'm watching Felger and Maz over the last 4 hours. I was glued to those guys.
You watched them for 4 hours?
No, I didn't. I watched them in the green room. And as we sat there, they're talking about Mac Jones is Tony Eason, and is Mac Jones the guy or a guy? I think people have a disconnect from what they should expect from a 10-2 quarterback who's shown brilliant acumen, great accuracy and anticipation, but has an average at best arm. It's going to take some development time. They have a good complement of offensive players around him. Good. Because of the complement.
They don't have a standout wide receiver or anything like that.
So mediocrity ain't awaiting them.
But he has mostly answered the test questions that they've put before him.
Right.
Mac Jones, we know what his shortcomings are, but everything that they've asked him to do, for the most part, from going up against Tom Brady in Week 4 to what he did against the Jags, he's accomplished.
Okay, so then is it not a mediocre situation? I mean, is it not a mediocre situation? Because if he's done all that as a rookie, Mego, he's going to do more as he improves, so he's not going to be mediocre. You are not resigned and consigned to being a mediocre team if you got Mac Jones, a quarterback, I contend.
Well, we'll have to talk more about that because Josh Allen is still out there. You got plenty of other talent in the conference.
Josh Allen played like Mobile Bledsoe last week.
Patty Mahomes.
Yeah. Patty Mahomes. All right, coming up after the break, we got Kyle Van Noy, the great one. He'll be with us, and he'll be chattering about the Patriots' compliments so far. I don't think he'll be taking a victory lap. That looks like a victory lap. Growth potential. Check this out. Patriots rankings last year to this year. 27th overall in total offense last year. That's basically yards, passing, and rushing all added up, and then there you are. 16th this year. That's better. Scoring offense, way better. Total defense, 15th last year. 3rd this year. Scoring defense, 1st this year. That's simple. That's overall points. And as a result of all that, thank you, Dr. Lepresti, Leonard Hair Associates, call them up, get your head fixed. As a result of all that, we are happy to welcome in our friend, Kyle Van Noy. There he is! There he is. Look, I'm going to be candid. I like to tell people how the sausage gets made. We weren't sure that we had Kyle. We got him. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I hope you had an amazing night of New Year's Eve partying.
You know what? We didn't have a bad night at all. We were at Patriot Place, kicking around for a little while. Stopped by Davio's, hung with a couple for a little while. Then we got back home. We were playing pool at midnight, in bed by 12:06.
Good for you.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, is that exactly what you guys needed over the weekend against Jacksonville?
I mean, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Anytime you have a team that's obviously down some players, you got to take advantage, and we definitely did that.
After that game, Bill and Jacoby Myers actually spoke about, look, we needed to look in the mirror a little bit. And Bill said that. He said, look, if we needed to find focus, if that's what Jacoby said, then I defer to him. He knows what he's talking about, but he felt it was the best week of practice that you guys had in some time. Can you give us any insight at all to what might have been different in that week of practice prior to the Jacksonville game?
Just more focus, more attention to detail. I mean, I don't think there was necessarily anything different except just more of a little bit of everything. And I think it went smoothly and like it normally does. There's not many days we have bad practices. but we try our best. And, we did our thing on Sunday. But now we have a tough opponent coming up down in Miami. They're going to be pissed that they lost, and I think they're going to come ready to play.
Do you pay any attention at all to seeding, Kyle? You can be honest as to who you might be playing.
Obviously I do, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got to focus on, I can be a fan for just a sec, but at the end of the day, like I got to control what I got to control, and that's playing a game, getting ready for a game, and be ready to fire on all cylinders. And how we can control that is by coming out on Sunday and trying to get a win.
When you play that team, you're going to go down there to what has always been a very difficult trip for the Patriots, whether it's September or whether it's the end of the year. Is the weather a problem there? Is the field a problem? Is the flight a problem? Is that hostile Miami crowd a problem? What makes it so tough to play down there for this team?
I think you said all three of those combinations. All three can be a problem, but we're going to embrace the challenge. We're going to embrace potentially gearing up for the playoffs. We can treat this like a playoff game, being on the road in a hostile environment. I mean, what a better way to play and get ready for the playoffs, playing a divisional opponent.
I think the bus has probably left the station on this question because we're like 16 games away from it now, but going to ask it anyway. Any feeling of revenge for playing the Miami Dolphins?
Nah.
See, that bus did leave the station, didn't it?
I mean, I'm a Patriot. Like, they're out of the playoffs. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Someday I'm going to pry it out of you. We'll do it in the book. You and me will do the book. We'll get it out in the book.
Yeah. I think a lot of people want to know what I got to say about that.
You know what? Only because you haven't. You always talk about everything, but this is one thing. You always keep it right under your basket. Give me a peek, no peek?
Yeah, I think this one's different because it affected my family. So I think, that there's that's the situation. So when the time's right, I'll be able to spill the beans.
All right, I'll be there to pick them all up, show them to everybody, because that's what the job is. Hey, look at these beans I found. They're Kyle's. I'm going to tell you what they say. Tell me about Tua Tagovailoa. He has some good games. He has some not good games. He had a good game against you guys to open the season. What is his profile as a quarterback as you sit right now?
Accurate, gets the ball out fast, loves throwing the ball to Waddle, and he's a winner. I mean, his record is 6-5 as it is on a screen, and he's won more than he's lost. So he has that going for him.
This is going to be really easy for you, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's the last question. I got one of those AP votes for the top players and Offensive Rookie of the Year, MVP, All-Pros, all that stuff. I'm trying to figure out if I should go Jamar Chase or Mac Jones, because Jamar Chase has made a closing move on Mac, and I think he might have caught him.
So what do we mean by, are we saying like Jamar Chase has been here and here and here, right?
No, Jamar Chase was here, and then Mac went here, and Jamar went here, and now in the last two games, he's got like 400 yards receiving. And Mac had two not great games down the stretch here. They had must-win games in Cincy. It's hard. But so you're okay if I vote for Jamar?
I'm going with my guy, Mac, because he's like this. You know what I mean?
He's been great, huh? You've enjoyed him.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. He's my quarterback.
All right. Well, you're my
guy. But
guy.
Jamar Chase is good. Don't get it twisted.
You could be seeing Jamar Chase.
I'm not being controversial or anything like that, because Buddy's been balling. He broke the all-record receiving yards for a rookie, so he's doing his thing.
18. No, that's Jonathan Taylor. 13 touchdowns for him. Listen, buddy, thank you so much. 18 yards per catch. That's where the 18 came from. Good luck this week. Good luck with your preparation. Thanks, as always, for being with us. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Go Pats.
Go Pats. I don't know if I should say that. I'm a journalist. But right now I'm an entertainer, so I'll just say go Pats. All right, coming up after the break, it's the Mega Hot Take, and we're going to get into more of those awards. I mean, I don't really mean go Pats. I mean, I'm a disciplined observer of the team. I don't root. Hey, Wednesday at 6 o'clock, check out the game plan. Phil Perry, Tom Giles, and I will have the latest from Foxborough as the Patriots prepare for the not penultimate, the last game. I hate when people say penultimate. Oh, plus Christian Fourier and Nick Fitzstevens are going to put their unique spin on the week's preparation. The game plan is presented by your New England Honda dealers. Here comes the mega hot take, written on cold medicine.
True, this is a little stuffed up. In 2019, you gambled a first-round pick on a big fella named N'Keal Harry. Well, in football, as in cards, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and when to walk away. N'Keal Harry tried to do that, requesting a trade earlier in 21 after being one up by Christian Wilkerson in Sunday's game, and now it's time to fold them with Harry. Sure, it was the Jags, but a just elevated scout team receiver grabbed half as many touchdown passes in one game as Harry has had in his whole career. The Patriots rely on a next man up philosophy, and after 3 years, it's clear that it's just time to move on to the next. Time to say, au revoir, N'Keal.
Au revoir, N'Keal. Listen, I am going to plead guilty to saying when they drafted him, makes sense. And we talked about catch radius, we talked about Rob Gronkowski going elsewhere, and all the reasons N'Keal Harry made perfect sense. And you know what? We will always have the opening drive against the Detroit Lions in the Patriots' first preseason game in 2019. He was a beast for 3 of the 4 plays he was out there, and then he got hurt.
It's not personal. It's not show friends,
No,
it's show business. Time now for Quick Fire, presented by your local New England Honda dealers, featuring the rugged all-wheel drive Pilot, because around here we Honda. All right, let's go through our awards for this year. We'll start with Coach of the Year. Curran, who have you got?
Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel. We had guys like Matt LaFleur, Cliff Kingsbury, Zach Taylor, even Bill Belichick involved here, but I went with the Tennessee Titans head coach because they are the #1 seed, and he has had a record 88 players move on and off his roster. One of the guys who's been off the roster, Derrick Henry. This one ended up kind of being easy.
I agree with you on that. I have rallied for Bill Belichick on this program in my hot takes over and over again, but I think those back-to-back losses kind of stuck a fork in him there. Let's move on to Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, this is a great one in terms of the competitiveness, and it's Jonathan Taylor against Cooper Kupp. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. The reason, and there's still one more game, so if Cooper Kupp goes off, but Jonathan Taylor has 500 more yards than the next guy in the NFL in rushing. That's Joe Mixon. He's got 1,700 yards. He's got 18 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Cooper Kupp having a record-setting possible year. He's got 138 catches. He could set the receptions record, but 317 carries to 138 catches, 18 touchdowns. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor.
Well, Jonathan Taylor also takes so much responsibility off of Carson Wentz. Helps your offense a lot. You have to look at that. Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year to me is going to be T.J. Watt, and that's because he is a numbers compiler. Phil, however, makes a good point in the pod. He talks about the fact that Aaron Donald is and always will be so far above everybody else defensively.
So far above.
You could just give it. It's like giving Jordan the MVP every year, and then all of a sudden you give it to Barkley or, somebody else. It was always Jordan.
This is a fun one. Comeback Player of the Year. I really agree with this one.
Okay, it's Jumpin' Joe Burrow. Dak Prescott was also someone who deserved some consideration, but the way Joe Burrow has played, becoming a little bit of a folk hero down there.
Oh, absolutely.
I love him. I mean, and I liked him at LSU. He does not look, and this is not fair, but he doesn't look like perhaps the sharpest knife in the drawer at times.
He's not a physical specimen.
He's not a physical specimen, but and then he speaks, and he's so smart, and he's so funny, and he's so self-effacing, and he's so productive in the last 2 weeks.
He has a 70% completion rate, and just watching him is such a joy that all the freaky sacks and hits that he takes, you're just like, oh, but just like our own Mac Jones.
Yeah, and the comeback.
He continues to get back up.
Yeah, and the comeback to allude to, he missed the last 6 games after having his leg blown out at the end of last season, so that's what he was coming back from.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, layup. It's Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. It's not even close. We can skip on down.
All right, here is the big debate that we're going to have. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, this is, to me, Jamar Chase has overtaken Mac Jones. And this is hard to come up with because I've always said in a close one, you have to defer to the quarterback because he's making 60 or 70 decisions over the course of the game. A receiver he's not charged with the
If you only say that, why are you breaking your own rule? You make the rule that you
because what we've had is
break
a
it,
very
Tommy.
good season from Mac Jones and an historic season from Jamar Chase. So last year, Justin Herbert against Justin Jefferson, similar conversation, similar debate. Last year I went to Justin Herbert because statistically he was so outstanding, and Mac Jones just has not been as ridiculously outstanding. You can trump me though if you want to, Meg, and say, but Mac Jones took his team to the playoffs, Justin Herbert didn't.
I disagree with you because I think you're overcomplicating this. I know we're not supposed to use wins as currency for quarterbacks. It's not a quarterback stat to win, but it does matter. It is what ultimately matters. I know these are individual awards, but what Mac Jones has done is so rare for rookie quarterbacks to do, and I just think you have to look at the difficulty of that position, and I'm still rooting for Mac Jones there. Let's move on to...
You're rooting?
Rooting.
What kind of journalist are you?
Rooting? Gross. MVP. Who's your MVP?
It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and this is... What? Did you make a noise?
No.
Okay, it's Aaron Rodgers because Tom Brady and he were neck and neck. Again, it's a quarterback award because of the responsibility level. Since Halloween, that week, Aaron Rodgers has thrown 20 touchdowns and 1 pick. He's lost 1 game. He also had an inoculation situation.
He's been busy.
But Brady has thrown 19 touchdowns, but 9 picks. His team has lost 3 games. We can talk about the guys around him and the circumstances. But when you needed to be transcendent, when you needed to lug your team someplace, Aaron Rodgers has been able to do it. So I think that he is the most valuable player. If you took Brady off the Bucs, they'd be hosed. If you took Rodgers off the Packers, they'd be hosed. If you took Derrick Henry off the Tennessee Titans, well, they weren't hosts. That's why we give quarterbacks MVPs.
They are the 2 greats. Aaron Rodgers also canceled cancel culture, so you have to take that into account.
He got so much heat for the Ayn Rand book on his bookshelf last night, too.
So stupid.
It's, you know,
It was so prominent.
You got to read them just to know what you're talking about. But.
Should have had infinite jest.